Katera Rising by G.D. Evergreen. Chapter 28. The Final Gambit. Lexa carefully sets aside her mending.
Are you saying the rebellion is going ahead?
Of course.
Edward chimes.
Since the rebel leader was lost, people have been following the orders she left behind. Someone has even managed to contact those who dwell above.
Edward says excitedly, falling over his words in his hurry to get them out. The lost rebel leader? I glance at Lexa, whose face radiates with happiness. I suppose to those who were there the day Darkmoor's Scarlet Army attacked the compound could only assume Lexa was dead. I study Lexa's face carefully, trying to decipher if we are supposed to reveal her identity. Lexa leans forward.
Do you know who is leading the rebels now?
Edward scratches his beard.
A young man.
He clicks his fingers.
What was his name? A one-legged fellow. He seemed nice enough, even if he is a bit young.
Samuel, I venture?
Yes.
Edward exclaims.
A poor naive fellow, though. He maintains that the true rebel leader lives, and he is just standing in.
Lexa looks down thoughtfully at her hands, and I grip my necklace in mine. Edward, is there a way we can find the other Xenops?
Well, there is this scrying spell you can do, but it will only help you find the Xenoph for the particular necklace you are scrying with.
Edward explains as he bounces in a circle on his feet.
Even then, it is vague at best, landing at some point on a map.
Lexa looks up at the energetic man.
Would you allow us to use your necklace for this scrying spell?
Of course.
He sings merrily.
I will go prepare things now. I will be back soon to collect you and your grip.
Without any further explanation, he prances off into the caravan I have come to think of as his. Does Edward seem a little
unhinged?
Melissa supplies as she plops down beside us, a bowl of soup in hand. I eye the bowl. Where did you get that? It's not lunchtime. Melissa smiles and her face glistens with sweat.
No, it is not, but if you look as sick as me, everybody tries to feed you.
That's an upside, I say with a small smile, shifting my pained legs slowly. Lexa quietly resumes her mending, and I pick at an old dried clump of grass beside me. This whole necklace thing is becoming more confusing with every step. It seems the more we learn, the more confused I become. Lexa lets out a small sigh.
I know what you mean. It is as if every piece of information is carefully crafted to make this whole expedition more perilous and perplexing.
Melissa clatters her spoon against the side of her bowl.
Maybe it is supposed to be hard, or maybe you are just looking at it in a way that makes the whole thing seem harder than it is.
I frown. We are looking for 4 lost necklaces, and they're apparently different owners, while being hunted by Darkmoor and his minions, all at the same time as a huge rebellion that is raging around us, and giant flaming rocks are falling from the sky at random intervals. I pause and glance at Lexa. Did I cover everything? Lexa smiles.
You forgot the part where the only person who knows anything presents sporadic behavior, and is currently preparing a ritual that may or may not work, and, at best, gives us vague details about where the true owner of his necklace is.
I turn to Melissa. Any tips on how to look at this situation in a different way? Melissa shakes her head and inspects her almost empty bowl.
Nope, we're screwed.
Lexa sets aside the mended shirt and stretches her legs.
And yet we must continue to endure.
Nathaniel stomps over and plonks down beside me, scowling.
These people do nothing but sit and sit and sit. They do not even have someone posted on guard.
Care to elaborate further?
Lexa inquires. Nathaniel waves his massive hand at the group.
They have scarcely enough food and water for the next 2 days. They don't understand that even though the position is well hidden, they are trapped if an attack comes. Worst of all, not one of them knows how to fight. Even their strong man doesn't know more than how to lift weights.
Maybe you should teach them, I say with a small smile. Nathaniel stops mid-rant to consider my words.
It would not take too long to whip them into shape.
He rubs the dark shadow of his early morning beard.
A month at most should be enough time to teach them the basics.
Edward pops up beside me with Tash and Lucas behind him, holding a basket of items each.
We are ready.
He chimes and spins in a circle. I smile and shake my head. If I found the energy to be half as happy as Edward, I would be the second happiest person in all Shadow Soul. He crouches by our small fire and scoops some of the hot embers into a clay pot. From here he sprinkles in some herbs, and the bowl emits an overly sweet smoke.
What is in there?
Lexa queries as she peers into the smoking pot.
Powdered cave mushrooms, gourmand root, and ground sandalwood.
Edward replies and hands the bag to Lexa. What is sandalwood? I ask. Edward points at the cavern roof.
It is the wood from a tree that grows in the world above, our true world.
He clarifies. Lexa looks up from her inspection of the bag.
How did you come by this?
Edward waves his hand.
Someone who knew someone who knew someone, and so on.
He pauses and adds,
Be careful with your use of it. It is all I have. And in the future, I predict commodities from above will be very hard to come by.
You are giving it to us?
Tash asks with raised eyebrows. Edward gives her a confused look.
How else are you going to find the zeniths and keepers of the other necklaces?
Tash seems unsure, but I cut past any further questions she has. You can locate the keepers as well. Edward nods.
It would be silly if the spell only found the zeniths. What is the point of knowing who the true bearer is if you cannot find the next necklace?
I gape at Edward, and Melissa nudges me.
See, you were thinking about it too hard.
Edward pulls out a map and lays it carefully on the ground. His usual light-hearted demeanor fades for a moment as he presses a hand to the parchment.
Owners of old, owners of new,
He sings.
lead us to the one whose heart is true.
For a moment nothing happens. Then the necklace shudders violently, as if it's resisting some unseen force. The chain stiffens, trembling before snapping forward like a whip, pointing directly at Lucas. The crystal hovers in the air, restrained only by the chain held in Edward's hand as it strains to reach Lucas. Lucas holds up his hands as if to surrender.
Is that thing going to impale me?
Edward raises his eyebrows and shakes the stubborn necklace.
It has never done that before. Usually, it just lands on the map.
He turns to look at us.
Are you certain your group is not made up of zeniths?
I shrug, and Lexa answers carefully.
As I said before, we were not aware we had to find the Zynops prior to encountering you. The presence of anyone other than Claire and myself is purely coincidental.
How do we know that it is pointing at Lucas,
Nathaniel grumps.
and not just someone in that direction?
Lucas clambers to his feet and moves over to the right, the straining necklace following him. Slowly he moves in a full circle around the group, and the necklace leaps on the chain as if it were trying to fling itself upon him. Well, that settles it, I say. The necklace clearly wants Lucas. Tash lets out a soft giggle, and we all turn to her.
How strange our lives have become when we are more confused about Lucas being a xenoth than a crystal defying gravity, and chasing after his movements, apparently of its own accord.
A small smile creeps across my lips, and Edward holds the necklace out to Lucas. Lucas inches over and holds out his hand. The gem seems to leap with joy at his nearness, but upon reaching the palm of his hand it simply goes limp and glows a soft purple.
Be careful with it,
Edward says in a soft, mournful tone. Lucas nods and slowly loops the necklace around his neck, gently caressing it as if it were a living being. After seeing the crystal bounce around on its chain, I don't blame him for the assumption. Lexa, with her mind on ever-present matters, turns to Edward and asks,
How are we to find the next necklace?
Edward rubs his hands together.
It is simple. You go through the same process with the herbs and hold a necklace above the map and sing, "You are lost, but not for long. Show us where the missing crystal has gone."
I blink. What stops it from telling us where one of the crystals we have already located is? Edward waves at me dismissively.
Don't be silly. The crystal will know which of its siblings are still missing.
I open and close my mouth, truly at a loss for how to respond to Edward's words. I glance at Lexa and catch a glimpse of Melissa's face as it contorts into a strange, frustrated expression. "Melissa, are you okay?" I ask gently. Melissa turns on me with strangely vacant eyes. She blinks and the weird moment is over. She bends forward and clutches her head with a soft groan. Tash, who is beside her, leans over and sets a soothing hand on her back.
"Melissa, did you hear Claire?"
Melissa looks up at me in confusion and rubs her head.
No, I must have missed it. Sorry, what did you ask?
My eyebrows bend towards my nose and I repeat, "Melissa, are you okay?" She nods.
Yeah, I just have this mind-blowing headache. I think I will go have a lie down.
Tash takes her arm and leads her away from our group over towards the small fire we had claimed as our own. Lucas looks pale as he watches Melissa.
She has had a few moments like that since she hit her head.
Maybe it will pass.
Edward offers as he scratches his beard. Nathaniel rises to his feet and throws a look at Lexa.
I will go watch over them. Both of them are too distracted right now to be truly vigilant.
Lexa nods and pulls her own emerald necklace from around her neck and holds it so the square crystal dangles from the chain.
You are lost, but not for long.
She whispers.
Show us where the missing crystal has gone.
Then, the necklace drops like a stone, slamming onto a point on the map with such force that the parchment crinkles beneath it. The words glare up at us. Mount Volna. Silence falls over the group. Lucas swallows.
That doesn't sound inviting.
Edward shoves his hands in his pockets.
It sounds better when you sing it.
He chirps. "Well," I say, gripping my necklace in my hand, "it looks like we have a new direction." Lexa looks up at me with sparkling eyes.
Yes, it would seem we are destined to travel to Mount Volna.
Edward claps.
Excellent, but first you must stay with us for a while. Claire still has not recovered, and I have much to teach you.
Lexa nods and slips her necklace over her head.
Yes, rushing would not be the wisest course of action.
Then it is settled. You will stay with us to rest for a while before moving on.
Edward announces before bounding off towards his caravan. I climb to my feet and together we watch the man scoop up an arrangement of items from the many boxes he has stacked around his caravan. I smile at Lexa. I am looking forward to a rest and getting some answers. Lexa smiles back at me and my heart hammers in my chest.
I'm not sure we will just be given the answers.
Lexa says as she places her hand on my lower back and guides me towards our small group sitting around the nearby fire.
Sometimes figuring it out is the reward.
Lexa sits by the fire, her expression unreadable as she pats the ground beside her. I hesitate. What if we're not ready for the truth? What if the reward isn't a victory, but something darker? Lexa seems to sense my unease. She takes my hand, threading our fingers together. The warmth of her touch steadies me, but the weight in my chest doesn't fade. This isn't just about lost gems. This is about something far greater and far more dangerous. And for the first time, I wonder if we're walking into something we were never meant to find. I should feel triumphant. We have a goal, a plan. But as I look around at my exhausted, battered companions, I realize we don't know what we're walking into. We don't know what Katera's rising really means. I swallow hard and grip my necklace. The blue light glows steadily against my skin. Are we ready for this? And that is the end of Katera Rising. Claire's journey has been long, brutal, and filled with choices that have shaped not just her fate, but the fate of an entire world. But the story doesn't end here. Shadows still loom, mysteries remain unsolved, and the fire of rebellion has only just begun to burn. If you've made it this far, thank you, truly. This story has been a labor of love, and sharing it with you has been an incredible experience. But before we say goodbye, tell me, what was your favorite moment from Katera Rising? What shocked you the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this audiobook, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more to come. More stories, more worlds to explore. And who knows, maybe more from Katera. Until next time, stay safe, keep dreaming, and never stop fighting for the stories that matter. Subscribe for more.